It has been some time since we've had a balance update for Civ 7. We don't get them that often, but today I wanted to talk about some civs that I think could use a little bit of looking at. Specifically, one civ per age that I think could use a significant buff or even a rework in the next update. Hey everyone, this is Connor here at Civ House, and like I said, I want to break down some civs. I haven't thought about the balancing of civs in a long time. I feel like I usually gravitate towards thinking about leaders and what can be done to help them out, or new leaders I'd want to see kind of looking ahead. And I wanted to take a second at least to kind of look back at what we have in the game and think about what adjustments I would like to make to it. So we're going to do one of these per age, and I want to talk about it as much as possible here. I'm not going to talk as much about good civs because honestly, I feel like players gravitate towards them enough. You know, I feel like we could talk about the Maya all day long. Everyone has played them extensively. It's my favorite civ in the game. But they are very, very strong and really don't need much done to them. If anything, civs like the Maya could even get nerfed even more. But I'm not a fan of nerfing civs that much in civ anyway. So instead, I want to look at buffs. And we're going to start off with the Maurya. Maurya, I always second guess if I'm pronouncing that wrong, and I looked up how to pronounce it before I made this video, which is hilarious that I even botched it then. But this civ is one that I have always wanted to be good. And I know I'm not going to look at the civic tree right now, but I at least want to look at the core components of their kit, their buildings, units, and bonuses, and look at what we could do to make this a more appealing civ. Now, I want to preface this again. Some people may play the civ and think they're incredibly strong. And I'm sure you can get into games where you dominate with the civ just like you could any of the other ones in this list. To me, this has just been one of the least consistent civs, but I think it's close to being really, really good. So let's go top to bottom here and kind of look at what changes we could conjure up, right? And I want to start off right away with you can choose an additional Pantheon after unlocking Mysticism. And obviously you get this production towards the Wonder. We'll leave that as is. I think this first bit here could be adjusted. I would actually like to see a few unique Pantheon options for a civ like the Maurya. I think it's Maurya. Man, I feel so bad mispronouncing this. It kills me. But I would love to see a unique Pantheon for them because what this civ is trying to get you to do is to play the religion route and to play it in kind of a militaristic way. I know it says militaristic science. I don't know if I really feel that way about what this civ actually is. I know there's some science activation going on, but this really does feel like kind of a military expansion religion civ. Part of it is the civ's identity really is kind of unclear, but I would really like to see an Antiquity Age religion-focused civ that sets you up to go into the Exploration Age with a lot of religious power right away. And if you had a unique Pantheon, or maybe even playing the civ in Antiquity allows you to have some kind of like unique religious thing in the Exploration Age that'll carry over to your next civ, like a Foundations thing, right? Like playing the long game with religion. Something like that, I think, would be more appealing than just choosing an additional Pantheon. Now, I think this is good. I don't think this is a bad ability. But to me, this just feels, I don't know, it feels a little bit vanilla to just have another Pantheon. I would really like, again, to see something unique here or something to promote you to play more religion moving into the next age. I think that would be good to honestly get people excited to play religion more in this game. So that would be something for me right away. In that same vein, I like the kind of Crusader, Antiquity Crusader style. So I like this cavalry unit. I also just love any cavalry unit that's not just a standard horse. I love the elephants. +5 combat strength against fortified districts. Ignores zone of control. I like all this a lot. I don't know if there's anything I would change with this unit. I actually like it quite a bit as is. What I would change is this. The unique settler, a civilian unit capable of founding new towns, adds 2 happiness on city halls. So this to me is one of those spots where I think this is where we could find more synergy with the Pantheon bit here. So instead of this being militaristic scientific, I think this should be militaristic cultural. And this could stay a settler, but it could also be like a unique early religious unit, like a religious zealot unit could be really cool to have, where you can, I don't know, get some kind of benefit out of the Pantheons that you're using. Maybe it has a kind of synergy with a unique Pantheon if they were to craft one. We're getting into like full rework talks here, but still. At the very least, instead of happiness, I would just like this to be maybe culture instead. Or if you're going to be militaristic scientific, just make it science. The happiness just kind of feels odd. It's not that it's bad. Happiness is kind of one of those universally always pretty strong things. It's never a bad thing to get into celebrations, right? But I like the idea of settling towns, and I like that kind of being the angle. But it'd be cool if this were, and I know this is probably just a historically accurate unit, so this is partially going outside of the bounds of that, right? But it would be interesting if this were more a little bit, like I said, early religion. It could be even like a tribal religion angle. There's a lot you could do with this that I think would be more interesting than just another unique settler that gives happiness. Because, frankly, to me, this is just not enough. This just feels like practically a normal settler. So this is one of the areas I would like to change the most. Honestly, with unique non-military units, I'm always a fan of there being more creative and more like unique things taken into consideration when putting those into the game. A settler with +2 happiness on a city hall just is kind of, it just does not move the needle for me at all. I love unique quarters, which is part of the reason I chose this Civ as well. I always gravitate towards a Civ where I can put a unique quarter down because something about that just feels like one of the things that Civ 7 really nailed is this like cool, I'm playing the Civ so I get this thing and you don't get it. That's really cool. So the angle of this one is this is where we kind of get the full link in. It feels like these 4 components here are very separate from this and very separate from this. These are all happiness oriented. So you get 3 happiness from each, science and culture adjacency, and then when you construct both of the buildings, you get 10% happiness in this settlement, which is also really great. Obviously, if you have the additional +2 happiness, this can turn into a happiness monster right away. I actually like that. I like the synergy of doing that. So I guess where I'm getting at here is I would either change all of this to go away from happiness and kind of have a new mechanic to replace them having to do with this Pantheon bit, or I would change this top bit here and have it be something like, I don't know, something to do with happiness. I mean, just make this Civ the happiest Civ possible. Maybe like for every 10 happiness you have, this unit gets a +1 combat strength instead of this flat thing right here, right? Something like that. I think there could be more of a holistic tie-in for this Civ to be a little bit more, I guess, rounded, a little bit more interesting to play. So, all in all, I would prefer, like I said, something where there is a unique Pantheon, or like maybe 3 unique Pantheons. You get to pick one if you're this Civ. Maybe one of them has to do with happiness, and so it could tie in with the rest of the Civ. One of them could be a military, angle to kind of tie in with this unit. Maybe one's even a scientific angle, like a Pantheon that really does something for science that no other Pantheon does, to really bolster the scientific part of this Civ. I'm not sure what it is, but I would like to see changes made to the Civ because this is one that I've always wanted to play more. I just never get that excited about it because I like a lot of the other Antiquity Age Civs quite a bit more. Especially with Assyria now. Assyria was a ton of fun to play in my Genghis Khan Let's Play. I like the Axum. I love playing Carthage. Egypt's fun enough. I love playing Greece. The Han is unique. I don't play the Chimer very often. Maya's my favorite Civ. I love the Mississippian, Persia, and Rome, right? Like, these are all great Civs, except for I kind of feel like these two. And in particular, the Moria. So, that is the one for the Antiquity Age that I would like to see changed. Let me know in the comments if you have a different one for that age, or if you have any other thoughts on how you change this Civ. Alright, now we move to the Exploration Age. And my Civ for this one, this is another age where I like a lot of the Civs. Right? I like a lot of the Civs in general. I'm generally inclined to like the parts of this game, personally. But the Normans are ones that I've always, again, this is partially just a list of Civs I want to play more, because I just don't feel like I enjoy playing them very much, so apologies. A lot of bias coming in here. Same thing. Maybe people love the Normans. I'm just sleeping on them. It could easily be that. But I really think there's more that this Civ could do to kind of live into their almost like faux medieval castle-oriented style. Right? Like, I really think that is where this Civ could be really unique in what they do, and I'm going to talk about some ideas I have for what this could look like. So, land units receive 1 movement when embarked, and land units adjacent to the coast receive +5 combat strength. This is actually pretty interesting to me. This is like a cool way to incentivize migration, and a good way to give you some strength, like right when you come out of the water, like when you're, you get to the shores and you attack. It's a really, really neat idea. Okay, So I want to preface this by saying I think this is really cool. I like it straight up. I think the movement benefit could be better. I think actually if you made this +2 movement, it would feel kind of crazy because you'd just be zooming around the map. You'd be zooming through the ocean. It would immediately make this one of the best civs. But actually, that would be way too strong because you just send your units adjust at the coast and just wreck people. But something like that would move the needle for them a little bit for me. Let's kind of look at some other ideas here, though. The couple of, these two units here in particular are interesting. So, unique cavalry unit, +3 combat strength against slower units, sure. And the unique settler, civilian unit capable of founding new towns. Receive medieval walls in the city center when a new town is created. Bingo. We have right here with the Soakman. I hope I'm saying that right. I mispronounce things all the time. This unit to me, as well with the top bit, are like what I would want to focus on for this civ. And there's areas of the unique quarter that do it as well. But to me, this should be a civ that is very good at navigating and fighting on the coast. I think that's a really cool angle. Because like you have other civs like Hawaii that are really good on the coast, but they're good for culture, not for fighting. So like this is the fighting coastal civ. Got it, right? Like that makes it a little bit different than Mongolia, who's just a fight on land. This is a fight on the coast. I think though, what this should lean into even more than the first ability, like to leave the first ability and make the rest of the kit focused on buildings. I think Normans should be like the castle builders. I love the idea of medieval walls. Basically, when they get to an area and they get set up, particularly on the coast, they are very strong and hard to remove. That is, I think, the niche that this civ could fill that would be really interesting to see play out. Because imagine it, you bring your units across the ocean very quickly because you're able to do that. You fight on the coast with maybe an independent power or another civ if they're there. You win that fight because you're advantaged because of this. And then, what if your units, and maybe including this one, to just build up right away and then very quickly get some defensive towns set up. That way, you can move on to the next thing. You can move your units elsewhere to go continue to battle, and you leave behind some solid walls. That's actually where, if it were me, I would, and I don't usually do this, I'm a big fan of unique quarters. I literally almost always pick civs with a unique quarter. I would take away this one. Or at least rework it significantly. Because this, again, outside of the adjacency for medieval walls, which is cool, I think that's interesting. I would like a single building here that is like a guard tower building, like something like that, where you could spam them around your cities, and they give either significant combat bonuses. Perhaps they give production, maybe stacking like production per guard tower or something like that. But basically just, these like stone, make your, much like how the Han and the Ming have the Great Wall. Imagine if the Normans had like outposts, basically, like these really strong guard towers throughout their empire that basically, if you can allow them to get set up, they're very hard to remove. That is, I think, what I would like to see with the Normans in the Exploration Age, or at least a civ, would be give them the power to raid. This is kind of like what I wish we had Denmark, or some kind of like Viking force in the Exploration Age. I think this is part of like what I'm like clamoring for with this call out, right? Let them storm the beaches strongly, defend really effectively, and then move on and do the same thing, and kind of be those coastal raiders that then can set up. I think that would be amazing for that. I think to do that, you'd have to get rid of this unit and like have some kind of like coastal siege unit or something, or even just go, honestly, this would be kind of weird, but 2 non-military units, and then have them be more centered around like fortifications and building and things like that. Right. Like this is awesome. Like imagine it with this, if instead of the medieval walls in the city center, which is cool, I guess, it's kind of the same thing as what we just talked about with the Moria. Like, okay, +2 happiness on a city center is fine. Medieval walls is fine, but like we can do better, I think. What if it gave you, a free one of these guard towers if we redid this in every city that you founded with this unit? I don't know. There's something that I think we can do here. There's more that could be done, but I am looking for some changes to the Normans. I think they have a lot of potential and are one of the most kind of under-optimized civs in the game. that I think if they were redone and overhauled in this, kind of the style I'm suggesting, would be really, really fun for the Exploration Age. All right, and now we finally have reached the Modern Age. This is an age that I have played less than the other ones, just because I am very fickle, and I usually quit out of games prior to finishing out the Modern Age. I'm so sorry. I just do this. So I haven't played these Civs as much. I've played all of them at least once. I usually try and do that, at least one game with each, but not as experienced. But I will say Nepal is one that I have, I was very underwhelmed by. And this is with a lot of boosts to mountain terrain and everything like that. I just think this Civ is terrible. And maybe I'm wrong here. I very easily could be. I want to be wrong. I really do. But I don't feel like the Civ is very good. Let's look at it. All warehouse buildings apply to mountain terrain tiles, but they cost 1 gold and happiness maintenance. Even that right there feels fine. Fine. Let's look on, though. A unique infantry unit, stronger, faster, more expensive. Even that just feels like, okay. There's nothing otherwise. That's just not very. I don't know. It doesn't feel that creative. It feels like there's way more that could be done with this to synergize with all of what Nepal is doing, right? Just seems strange to put that there. The Sherpa should be, I think, one of the coolest units in the game. Should be. It's a scout, ignores mountain and rough terrain, ignores movement, can move on Mount Everest, okay? I could be wrong, and I could be really wrong here. What are we doing with this unique scout unit in the Modern Age? I mean, am I just missing something here? Like, I guess you get sight in certain areas, but this feels incredibly niche. And then the Highland Power Station feels fine. Yeah, honestly, I think there's just this Civ more than any other Civ. I have made this video to talk about Nepal. This Civ just needs a complete overhaul, I think. I think it should be a really natural extension of the Inca, and you should be incentivized to like play Pachacuti. God, another name I always butcher. I'm so sorry. You should play that leader. You should play the Inca. You should be able to play Nepal, and it should be this just mountain fortress with a lot of optimization with your mountain tiles. I'm so set on this. I think the direction you could take this, though, to make it have its own angle, I'm going to go back to religion. I think you could do some kind of like religious expression or like mountain religion angle where instead of this being diplomatic cultural, actually maybe you keep it diplomatic cultural, but you just lean into the culture side way, way more. Instead of the Sherpa being a scout, make it something else. Make it an explorer unit. Doesn't America have one of those? This prospector unit, yeah. Make it kind of like that. Make it like that. But make it do cultural things instead, right? Something like that. Again, the Gurkha, just, again, I don't know. Could just be me, but this just feels like a really, like, slapped-on unit. Doesn't feel like it moves the needle much for me. Doesn't feel like it adds much creativity. So all in all, I think Nepal could have a massive, massive overall. I don't have a lot of specifics on the direction. I feel like I had some more kind of pointed feedback on the others. This one just frustrates me, and so I'm just kind of a child throwing a tantrum right now, wanting this to be better. Because I love the mountain gameplay style. I love the religion gameplay style. Like, I love that way of playing the game in past Civ games. And I was so, it just feels very underwhelming in Civ 7. And that's with some buffs and things, too. So, overall, I would be curious to hear from you all what changes you would make to the Civs I mentioned. Maybe if someone else has ideas about Nepal, please let me know. Let's get these changes to the developers and get some things moving, right? But if you have any other Civs you think you would have picked instead, I'd be curious to know in the comments, because we're in that stage with Civ 7 where we know things are going to be coming, new things are going to be coming, right? We're going to get more announcements, I would think, in September about the kind of future of the game, maybe October. But I also don't want to forget about the things that are in the game currently and kind of go back to the old idea of, like, how can we better utilize the things that we already have in the game? I'm sure developers ask themselves that question all the time. I want to ask it here on the channel as well. And so let's work as a community to figure that out. Let us know in the comments what changes you'd like to make. And if you have any other content you'd like to see, we just put a poll out of kind of what content people want to see from us here at Civ House. Open to ideas. Please let us know. And as always, thank you all so much for tuning in. from our house to yours. We hope you'll join us for one more turn. We'll see y'all next time here at Civ House.